Welcome everybody, my name is Suzanne and welcome to our Mobilise live session today, which is how not to do all of the caring. So we're looking for how we can build some support in. So I'm Suzanne, I'm co-founder and head of carer support here at Mobilise. I'm also caring for my husband Matt, who was diagnosed with Parkinson's 20 years ago now. It was just a year after we got married. So all the ups and downs of that, and also other family situations as family get older. So today our topic is all about how not to do all of the caring. And this is a really important topic because if we do everything all of the time, chances are it will just become more. It very rarely becomes less. We may even take on extra caring role in life, but it wears us out. It wears us down. We're at risk of carer breakdown. We're at risk of health problems. So anything we can do, however small it may be, to make sure we're not doing all of the caring ourselves. And we'll talk about all the different aspects of how that may be. As always, because it's Mobilise, there's going to be a bit of an uplift that comes from my guests and all the lovely chat that we have going on. As I said, you're not just hearing from me. So there's Leslie and Yvonne. Welcome. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, a little bit about your caring role, and something random about you. Let me start with Yvonne. Welcome back, Yvonne.
Well, thank you. I'm slightly disconcerted because I can see two of me.
Oh.
And I think one is probably more than enough.
I can only see one. That's the good news.
Oh, well, that'll do then, won't it? So, yes, so I'm Yvonne. So I've been caring for my partner for probably about 20 years. She has progressive MS. I feel a bit of a fraud at the minute because the poor woman is in hospital, having nosedived from her wheelchair and broken both her, what are they, the big bones at the top of your leg? Femur, yes, exactly that.
Quiz on that.
Indeed, the bone quiz. But it has given me lots of opportunity, of course, to reflect on how life is and actually how different am I when I'm not looking after her. And in fact, I found out that I'm almost as stressed not looking after her as I was looking for after her. So I'm learning a lot. I live in Staffordshire and I'm looking out the window because there's lots of lovely birds out there, and I've recently downloaded Merlin on my phone, so I can sit out there and I can tell what the birds are, and that's great.
Oh, is that an app that tells you the birds? Oh,
free.
Free app. We love a free app. Excellent. Thank you, Yvonne. Lovely to have you with us. And yeah, I kind of felt like Yvonne might actually have a little bit of moment in her diary to fit us in this week because of what's going on. So very cheeky, made use of it. Leslie, how about you?
I'm Leslie and I am in Tillycootry, Clackmannanshire, Central Scotland. I care for my mum and she actually broke her neck of femur on Christmas Day. She hadn't been diagnosed with dementia at that point in time, but we knew that's what was going on because it was her ability to move around and do normal everyday behaviours that was really messing her up, and she was a bit of an accident waiting to happen. So then 8 weeks in hospital waiting for rehab. Later, she had declined massively mentally. So since the 19th of February, I've been her full-time carer. I don't work anymore. And this is my little shine girl right here. So she's off and around and she's named after the weather today. Yeah.
Oh, we love it if we get to see a pet on camera on a Zoom call as well. That's the best. Thank you, Leslie. Leslie, tell us something a bit random about you as well.
I lived in Australia for 20 years.
Oh.
I returned 10 years ago when my dad had Parkinson's. Actually, he was declining very quickly, but it was like the universe went, whoosh, there's your life, work it out for yourself now and see what bits you still want in it and what bits you're giving away. So I've been back for 10 years, but it's really made me realize how much I appreciate there's like an atmosphere in the climate and in the weather in the UK that I felt there wasn't over there. And so I really take a lot of gratitude for being back here.
Brilliant. Oh, lovely. Well, welcome back as well.
Thank you. It's been
So yeah, these things life throws at us, and it sounds like, you know, those quite often a fall, a break, or a hospital admission can then kind of shift the caring situation into another level, you know, in all sorts of forms. So lots to draw on there. So let's just take a look at those barriers. Acknowledging them is quite often just a first step to removing them, actually, to being able to work around them, over them, or just realize sometimes that they're things in our heads, not reality. We can call those limiting beliefs, that kind of we think that's true, but it isn't actually always true. Some of them are just real barriers. They just are. Yvonne and Leslie, let's come to you. Over the sort of like, whether it's now or in the past, what kind of things get in the way of you getting more help?
I actually had a good example of this morning, and I find that I am it. A lot of the times it has been a lot out there, but the sort of everyday one is I go into kind of overthinking. So we get the 45-minute carer in the morning, but mum's just, she can have been up for 3 hours, you know, before that. So we've done it all. She's had her breakfast shout, we've done it all. And on an ideal day, that 45 minutes, I take the dogs out while they're helping mum. So what I then get into is, well, we've already done mum. So sometimes I even forget that's my time too. Let them be here and go out and do it. But then this morning she had the dentist. So I just create this massive overthink where I go, oh, well, I could take mum an extra walk before the dentist because we've got time. And I go into this automatic, give mum more time, or give that 45 minutes to mum and let's give her more, even though my sister's going to take her a walk after the dentist anyway. And then, but I've started to catch myself and think, and I made myself this morning go out just even for half an hour. So I'm really practicing that. But a connected thing is that mum is so clingy. And she's clingier than ever this week. So as soon as I mention somebody else, even my sister, or as soon as somebody else walks through the door, she doesn't want any of that. So then I get the, you know, you just do everything behind my back and all of this. And so then that takes me into, it's just simpler doing it myself. It's just, so it's like this cycle of so many things that were in that list. But I'm having to, I think, for the long term, make myself go out and use those moments, even though I keep thinking eventually she's going to get used to the people. And even if she doesn't, I'll get better at this. And it will become more, not so much water off a duck's back, because it's not, I don't take it personally, but it just is emotionally draining constantly.
But so useful just to see how just asking yourself that question makes you notice, this is what I'm doing. And why are you doing, you know, it's complicated. It's not, oh, I just need to go out, silly me, shake your head and off you go. It's, this is all the complicated things that are going on. Oh, we lost Yvonne. I hope she'll be back. This is all the complicated things going on around this. Emotions are part of the issue there as well. And I can almost see that little cycle happening, that mum knows you're going out somewhere or someone else is coming, but has probably learned, like a child does, oh, but if I make a bit of a fuss, she stays a bit longer.
She definitely
might be having a grumpy
me.
conversation, but she's still here.
Definitely plays me.
Yeah, that's it. And it's the more you get into that rhythm and things like that, and it's that, right, carers are here, it's that handover, that takeover, as we kind of do things and swap things over. But lovely.
And trust them.
Yeah.
They're never going to do it my way. We all know that. They don't know the intricate detail of mum, but yeah, it's letting go.
It's tough, isn't it? I think for me, I'll do me while we're waiting for everyone to come back. I noticed that it's a control thing. The way I do things is the best way, and having someone else doing it is just more complicated. And I had a friend come round once and I was really stressed out. She said, what can I do to help? And I said, I need to go out, but Matt's not okay to be left alone at the moment. Could you just stay with him? He needs a drink and something to eat. And she made him a drink, but she didn't put a straw in it because she didn't know he needed a straw. He was able to explain that, but he didn't say. So that he just didn't drink his drink. And I kind of came out and came back and thought, oh, great, thanks. And she hadn't noticed, and she'd, you know, gone off and done something else that didn't need doing. Like, I think she'd put a wash on for me, which was a pile of clean washing that had just been done. I was like, oh, thanks.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So, you know, the people that offer help aren't always the best. But I think for us, what did start to work is when, I think back when the children were small and Matt would go to sort of different hydrotherapy and things like that. His dad did a hydrotherapy trip on a Thursday. So he always did that. We didn't need to arrange it in advance. It just was, The first few times it was about what time it was and getting there on time and directions and parking. But once it was the same thing every week, that really helped. And then I knew that was done. So it kind of went, Thursdays is taken care of. And just having that and having the routine of that was super helpful.
It's like if you can allow yourself the investment of the time and the energy in the first place in a few weeks, that part will at least be ticking over.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, can I say something now?
Yeah, go on, tell us.
What I was thinking about in terms of barriers and challenges, I think for my experience would be that it's at first, or it takes a while to differentiate what is a usual role, say mum and daughter, partner, and parent, child. You know, when does it stop being this is what a good partner does, and start being actually this is now a caring role? I think that's quite difficult to see, both from, say, within the relationship and maybe from outside as well. And so, you know, hindsight's a great gift and no use to anybody. But had I had hindsight, some kind of a steering, if you like, or something that highlighted a little noise that went off, bing, this is now a caring role, as opposed to, you know, cooking the tea is what people do for each other.
Yeah, that's so true. And yeah, just identifying this is a caring role, but also maybe having help around the things that aren't caring roles. They're just the other stuff that's normal. But
well, my other great insight from this morning when I was sitting in the garden thinking about this afternoon or now was that logically I've now realized that what makes most sense is to get help with the things that I'm A, no good at, B, don't like doing, and C, get very impatient at. Because lots of things like running around doing stuff suits me really well, but sitting still just to keep somebody company sends me off my head. I need to recognize that and give that up. And find, because there's other people who are born to do it, absolute saints, and I'm not one of them.
Like you found lots of people have visited your partner in hospital. They've been happy doing visiting. They know how to do that, so you don't have to be there all the time. Yeah,
that's right, absolutely.
Good stuff.
But anyway, so those are my 2 bits of insight for the fortnight.
Love it. That's a good start. It's a good start. I'm going to come back to you guys. Also, hopefully you've got pen and paper handy. Just start making a note of these things. What are the barriers that you're noticing? Because the noticing of them, or even just asking yourself that question, is a real beginning to start shifting forwards, to start doing stuff. And we all like to take control, so you can take a bit of control over these things too. Now, sometimes a way past a barrier is just an option we haven't thought of before. That is just something we hadn't considered as being a way forward. So we're going to open up a few more options now. The first one, for example, here, hairdresser or a barber, was one of the first things. My husband has really short hair, so used to just cut it with clippers himself. And then he couldn't do that, so I had to start doing that. I absolutely hated it. I cannot bear the feeling of hair. It's horrible and it makes such a mess. And then I realised, well, I could take him to the barber's, drop him off, have half an hour or more to my own. If there was a nice long queue, I could have a nice little trip around the shops on my own and pick him up afterwards. And they would have sorted out his eyebrows and anything else that needed doing. And he'd feel a bit pampered as well, rather than me going, oh, just stand still, will you? Now get the Hoover out, you know. So that was one of my first ones where I realised there was help. A chiropodist is next on the list. We had one for a while.
For the same reasons.
Yeah, same reason. I don't like doing this stuff. So the stuff you don't like doing, you know, where else can people help? And you may not have thought of this. You may have thought, oh, it needs carers coming in. So have a little list and make a note on your little notepads. So, you know, it's gone more to occupational therapists. They might be able to provide equipment and things that will make life easier. Person assistants and PAs can be sort of less hands-on with the care, but more of the doing stuff that needs doing. And care assistants might be more hands-on, etc. Or maybe it's live-in help would work. If you're living remotely, maybe having someone live in a couple of days a week or something like that would work. All sorts of options, right? Or maybe it sort of help to get a bit of a break. So sitting services, like everyone said, someone that will just sit and keep company and talk. They don't need to do anything medical or hands-on. But lots of people love doing that. Fall alarms and emergency call systems, making use of home tech like Alexa and Ring can give you a little bit more freedom and someone's the eyes and ears over things. Maybe short-term respite care in the home or in a residential care facility or someone else's home. assisted living. Maybe the solution is a bigger move to the right sort of accommodation where there's more support on hand. And also daycare centres as well. They feel like a thing from the past, but they are starting to reopen. And some hospices offer a daycare service as well. You don't have to be end of life to make use of a hospice daycare service. Or kind of more healthcare type help. Is it a district nurse that can help? A nursing home, hospice care, hospice at home services, Macmillan nurse and the Admiral nurse. So Macmillan nurse normally more around cancer, Admiral nurse more around dementia. If you've got that local service, these people really know their stuff and may be able to find all sorts of solutions and suggestions for you as well. There's that. Leslie, go ahead.
Can I just add a cleaner and gardener?
Oh, yes.
That reminded me, it hasn't happened recently, but when Mum first came out of the hospital and we were working all this stuff out, like our neighbours, yeah, you wouldn't think they'd all lived next door to each other for 50 years. But one of them actually did say, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. It was the first time that when somebody said that, I did actually take them up on their offer. I said to her, if you're making a pot of soup, can you double it and bring some over? And she did, and it felt so freeing, and she was able to give.
Yeah. For me, for a while, switching to a milk delivery made a big difference, because it just meant I didn't have to keep running out to the shops for things I'd forgotten. And that they came like 3 times a week, and you could just go on the night before and add on things that you wanted. It was a bit more expensive, but it made a big difference to me. And I think if I was dashing out in the car, how much was I spending on petrol anyway? So that helped. Yeah, ironry and laundry services, that's the sort of stuff you hate. Even just swapping to online shopping, meal deliveries, getting a sort of handyman or handywoman. That's what I think we're really going to need in the future. It's all those jobs that take me forever that Matt would have done, or his dad would have done. But those kind of things, they may be official services, or maybe this is what friends, family and neighbours can help out with. So yes, but back to you guys. What have you tried that has been helpful, or what do you think you might try next?
Well, we were quite fortunate, really, because of the nature of Marie's condition. So the local authority did put quite a lot of support in. So we had the paid carers who came and got her up and did all the personal care and stuff in the morning. And as a consequence of those, we are awash with milk. I had never realised how much tea and coffee the paid carers have been drinking. I've given milk up and down the street because the milkman brings it and we can't use it. So that's been an interesting measure of their input, really. And also she had a befriending service. And I mean, I felt a bit mean sometimes, but I did used to try and tie appointments so that they were the people taking her to the appointments, because otherwise what happened was there was never any like leisure time or fun time or companionship time or, you know, partner time, because it was all jobs. So tried to get things to happen on their days. And so that was good. What was it you asked in the big
No, that was perfect. That was exactly the sort of thing, the kinds of things that have helped. That's it. And it's making it work for you, isn't it? It's actually, yeah, I don't know about you, but I quite like being in my house on my own. So the idea of someone taking someone out,
absolutely.
I get the house to myself. They get change of scene and a job done, an appointment ticked off, whatever. Sounds perfect.
But I think the other part of it is having to give up flogging dead horses, because there are people who in my head I thought ought to do things, family members or adult children. I thought they really, and I've wasted hours of my life stressing that and they're never going to, and they never have. So I may as well just give myself a break, really, and let that go.
Yeah, I think that's it. You could use a lot of energy thinking about how unfair that is, or as you say, flogging the dead horse, trying to create change, when there can sometimes be some underlying reason where they're just never going to be that person.
And I might miss the people like the lady who will make you soup. I might miss her because I'm so busy being bitter about how I'd like it to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So just quickly, we've got a question in the Q&A that might tie in here. So we've been asked, does anyone else feel guilty for thinking about getting help?
Good one. What do you think, ladies?
I think feelings are just such a nuisance. They just get in the way, whether it's guilt or whether it's I don't know, frustration, or because the guilt is horrendous. And for me, it's that whole thing about what would you say to your best friend. So if my best friend was struggling to look after somebody and she said, do you think I'm wrong to go out and let somebody else? I would say, of course, I say, don't be ridiculous. It's the perfect thing to do. But it doesn't mean that you don't wake up at 4 a.m. and think, yeah, I should have done that. But that is how I try to respond to myself, if you like.
I like that one. Feelings are such a nuisance.
Well, they are. They get in the way of everything.
Leslie, what do you reckon?
You just have to accept. I hear so much of what you were just saying, Yvonne. But yeah, so my guilt is about when I have asked people to help me, even my sister. It's not so much because I think, well, I'm not bringing an outsider in. It's your other daughter. So I don't feel guilty about that for mum, but I feel a bit guilty asking her to come because she's made it quite clear that she just wants to be involved, you know, here this much.
Yeah.
And so if I ask her for something outside of that, I feel a bit guilty. And then I'm watching the clock the whole time. But a bit touching a wee bit on about what Yvonne was saying, I did just need to accept everybody's position, everything out there, and really look at it, right, so what can I do? How can I work with this in a way that, is not feeling the bitterness and the resentment, just accept and take the responsibility yourself because nobody else wants it.
Those having those
then you find new ways and you get creative. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, definitely.
And as I always say, half the battle is just recognizing, right, that's what I'm feeling. That's what's stopping me from enjoying myself, from doing it well, from taking the time. I need to deal with that feeling. I need to work through that. It's not, other people aren't going to suddenly change that so that I'll start to feel better. That's the kind of bit that has to be internal work, but it's not easy. People out there, I'm not just saying it and just good.
Oh God, it's not
just deal with it, go. Lifetimes of doing it, hey Yvonne.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's
several lifetimes.
It still catches us out. The other thing that we kind of want to draw out here, that the different ways or kind of different opportunities there might be to help. So there's different types of things people could do, and this is more of the how and the when. So I think poll number 3 is more about thinking about how the how and the when, what kind of type of support might work for us. So is it about setting something up for an emergency? Is it more kind of as and when, you don't have a plan of when you'll need it, but just knowing something you can draw on as and when these things come up? Or is a regular slot like I had for my Thursday hydrotherapy? Is that easier that you can plan around it? You know what's happening. Do you want the help at home or outside the home? Even though my caring situation is quite small at the moment, really, things like that still make a difference, and building that stuff in while we can. In person, or is it remote help? My lovely friend recently, her dad was very poorly. He sadly passed away, but her brother lived about 300 miles away, but he was the one that did all the paperwork, the phone calls and things like that. He was amazing. But, paperwork's not her thing. That terrified her. Her brother was very happy to take that on. So they work really well together as a team. Or are there specific tasks people can do? Make me some dinners, doing some cleaning, do some ironing, help out in the garden, or specific care tasks, those ones we don't like. Sit and chat to them, please. Or what about help for you? So quite often, if the barrier is the person that you're caring for doesn't want anybody else to do things for them, what can other people do for you? Right. I think we come now to a bit of Q&A. Lucy, tell us anything interesting from the chat or any questions for my lovely panel here to have a go at?
Most of the chat and questions relate to feelings.
So
going back to what Yvonne said, they get in the way. And that seems to be like quite a big barrier. And it's about the feelings of guilt. Some carers saying that they find themselves apologising for things that they're not even responsible for. So saying a sorry a lot.
Yes.
So I think that's interesting. So maybe a bit of a discussion on feelings of guilt and understanding why they are there and how we can park them or deal with them so they are no longer a barrier to help.
Really helpful. Thank you. And noticing that apologising for things that aren't your help, that starts to sort of spread this outside message that this is my responsibility. More things are my responsibility. So you're not only telling yourself that, you're telling other people that when you sort of share those. Oh, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry the daycare centre isn't open today. I'm sorry it's raining today and we can't go out. Just it's raining today and we can't go out.
Can I just say quickly, I've had to stop myself saying thank you to the people who are going to visit Marie in hospital, because I'm thinking, why am I saying thank you? You know, if they're her friends and they're going to sit in hospital, that's brilliant. It's marvelous. I don't need to be thanking them. They're not taking something from me. They're gaining something, really.
Yeah.
But it took me a couple of weeks, really, to catch on to it, that actually they're not doing my work for me. They're doing something that belongs to us all.
So real. I do exactly the same. That is so real. I even thank the carer in the morning. I just, thank my sister. And I thank Mum's friend for coming to visit her every Wednesday. I actually said to her one day, do you come up here to see Mum, or do you come up here to help me? And she said both. So there is a thank you required, but I do exactly the same. I really hear you on that one.
Yeah, that's so brilliant thing to notice. You know, those words are powerful. The more we keep saying them, the more we're kind of putting ourselves in that position of being, yes, we are grateful and we are happy that they're there, but it's okay, you're doing me a favour and that's really good, and that's helped me out.
I just saw Karen say there just now, she thanks her mum's carers 4 times a day.
4 times
and
a
I
day.
think it's right. I think that, because it's making me think, well, it's nice to thank them. They'll keep being who we want them to be. But I definitely go over the top.
Yeah.
I certainly shouldn't be thanking friends for visiting hospital. That's absurd.
Yeah. But sometimes it's just that automatic response. You just kind of say something out of pure manners, which is a nice conversation. But like you said, Yvonne, that's brilliant. Great that you let me know.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. I hope you had a really good visit.
Yeah. But not a thank you for doing that for me.
Is it that kind of like people pleasing behaviors?
Good point.
I just feel as if there's a place to mention anger in feelings, because for me there is guilt, but at the moment it's anger and frustration for going hour after hour after hour after hour with Mum parading up and down and just saying the same things. Honestly, I must have screamed a hole in my pillow this week. And I just wanted to share that that's real for me, because it's probably real for other people as well. But it's so important to me not to spit that onto Mum. I'm spitting it onto the dementia, not to Mum.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. So there's guilt, there's anger going on. And resentment. Oh, yeah. And just spotting in the chat there as well. One person shared, one of my barriers is feeling I should be able to manage everything without help. And it's like an admission of failure to need help. I know it's ridiculous and not realistic. We know that there's lots of things going on there, that the shoulds, that I should be able to, you know, it should be manageable to fit this all into the day. If you've given up work or work part-time or retired, that, well, I've got this time, I should be able to cope with this on my own.
And I should be enjoying it. I think that's such a heavy one, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think
should be loving it.
I think particularly if you're caring, I'm aware of many people caring for their parents, that, you know, some people don't have their parents still around. So it can feel like, well, I should be glad that I've got my parents still with me and I'm able to do this for them, which, yes, hopefully there's some of that feeling in there, but there's no should in there. Dive in, Lucy.
Yeah, no, it was just to say in the chat, it's about reinforcing these shoulds. You know, we're aware that that might sound ridiculous or whatever, or not realistic, but yeah, it's a firmly held belief. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
And also, you know, if you've got multiple caring roles, if, you know, you're caring for a partner, but also, you know, you've got children, it's just this feeling of constantly being on duty and a mental load that has is not feeling like you're ever really getting a break.
Yeah. And I think for parent carers, there's that extra, particularly if you've got other children, there's that, you know, balance of, is everybody getting enough attention? And I am their parent, so this is my job. And how dare I ask for help with it? And that's where, when people asked me if they could help, particularly when the children were younger, it was always around helping with the children rather than specifically helping my husband. Lucy.
Also in the chat is in terms of getting practical help and someone coming into your home to assist with whatever it is, maybe household stuff, that feeling of having someone coming in maybe judging you and feeling like you should be on top of things. And I think, again, these are about our beliefs, isn't it? Yeah.
Yvonne, how is it for you having people come into the house?
Well, I think that's a really good question. I think because obviously it's gone on for us for a lot of years, it was quite tricky when we had kids at home, particularly when they were teenagers. That was quite tricky, and then kind of swanning down the stairs in their pajamas at maybe mid-morning, and there's paid carers in doing whatever they were doing. There was a bit of sort of, you know, what kind of times this sort of went on. So that wasn't easy. It's got better, I think, as we've kind of organised ourselves differently. And the fact that we've been dead fortunate in that there has been stability within who the group of carers are. So they know us and we know them. We physically changed the arrangements in the house, so they couldn't walk in the front door, down the hall, and then turn up, surprise, in the kitchen. We turned it so they come through the back door into the kitchen, but at least we see them coming, and it does give us a bit of notice. If anybody wants to take their dinner and get out the kitchen, they've got time to do that. I know I always say this, and I'm sure people get irritated with me, but it has really worked, kind of trying to get them on side, which is why I'm swimming in milk, because I have, as much as possible, I have always welcomed them and made them drinks, and or at least left stuff out for them to make drinks, and to try to just to treat them, I suppose, as I would like to be treated in somebody else's house. I know that wouldn't work for everybody. The people who just walk in, district nurses, I have to say, are particularly annoying at that. And that whole thing about, you know, you're living in my workplace, as opposed to, actually, sweetheart, you're working in my living space. And I just try nicely to make people aware, really, of the impact on us as a family. And some people get it, and some people just think I'm very rude, and that's the risk I take, isn't it? But I know, and I do kind of say to other people who are living here at any one time, you know, we would be in deep doo-doo without them. We really, you know, we can't. I don't want to get into hoisting, I don't want to do personal care, so we just make the best of it, really.
Which, you know, sets up, you know, for it, it putting that effort in has a reward. But the hidden cost of caring, all the tea, coffee and milk for the carer.
Oh, the milk, you've never seen so much milk.
Leslie, how about you? How is that when people are coming into your space? How does that feel?
Well, we really only have at the moment the morning carer. I'm going to be getting respite in a couple of weeks, and that's going to create new issues. But yeah, I recently realised that the care company are dreadful, and I kind of quickly had to learn that the girls are okay, get used to the girls. Even if you change, it's just going to be all exactly the same. The care company don't care about you because the council's their clients, you know, they don't care. So don't you care anymore. So I had to let them go, and just, I'm now creating the relationship with the girls. I'll do the same with the respite, because that's going to be 2 times 4 hour visits, which is going to be another
very different
piece of cake.
But choosing where to put your energy, what to worry about.
Definitely. Can I just throw in something on the whole should thing as well? Because Mum, even though her dementia is quite bad, she often says things like, I should be able to do this. I should know how to do this. I feel stupid. I should, you know, this, that, and the other. So I've kind of got this wee motto going where I say to her, we don't do should in this house any longer. And it's for me as well, because you're right. We judge that there's going to be judgments. And I think we just have to get on with this job. And all the wee things in and of themselves that we think I should be able to do this, we can, but multiplied by 1,000 every hour, they become bigger. And so I think as well, it's about letting go of the feeling of the judgments that are coming from outside and just getting on with what's happening in this house. So that's kind of my final word.
That's a lovely bit of wisdom, or oughts. Yvonne, what about you? You got a final word of wisdom for our listeners?
Oh, never. I've never got a final word. There's always something more. There was a lovely priest who I knew many years ago, and he wrote lots of wisdom of all sorts of things in life. And he used to talk about the shoulds and the oughts, and particularly the oughts, because what you get is a hardening of the arteries.
Very good.
So I always remember that.
Permission to all of us. I think Karen's idea was that we can jettison an ought or a should into space, or perhaps like Yvonne was saying earlier, we could peg it on a cloud and let it float away. But permission to notice and get rid of those things where you can. Lovely. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Leslie and Yvonne. You have been fantastic guests. Absolutely.
We'll
awesome.
send you our bill, won't we, Leslie?
Do send me the bill. You can choice of chocolates, flowers, or notebooks.
Notebooks.
And Aways and Lucy, thanks so much for being there in the background as well. Really super to have you there. But before we go, the final thing really is to make sure those of you that joined at home particularly get the most out of this. Hopefully you've made some notes, and it's all about what you do next. What are you going to do afterwards? If you're thinking, do you know what? I'm going to talk to someone about that. I'm going to have a conversation with a family member, or I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to look up what services are available in my area. I'm going to talk to a friend about how they might be able to help me, or I'm just going to do put shopping online rather than going to the shops. Whatever thing you think might be a next step that you can do. Through the course of today, we've noticed our barriers, what they are. You may have got, did you get 3 things that could be things you could stop doing? Sometimes we need to just let the person we care for do it for themselves, a bit slower, a bit clumsier, not quite the right way. There's also that allowing them to have their independence. So look for those things not to do. So you've got your barriers, look for those things that you could stop doing, swap, or start doing, and look for those options, the types of things that might help. Is it the weekly? Is it the routine thing? Is it in the home, out the home, something for emergency? Start to build up those little steps that you're going to have. Thank you, everybody. It's been really lovely to have you. And thank you, especially to Leslie and Yvonne. Thanks for being great guests.
Thank
See you
you.
soon, guys.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye now.